guys, I'm the Cyborg Sheep, and welcome to the Weekend Post. Regular viewers of this channel will no doubt recognize this as my media center. The current setup here supports all formats of media consumption. The system does cable TV, got the Chromecast for YouTube, Netflix, and Prime Video. We got a Blu-ray player down here, for nice HD physical media. We also have the Xbox over here for the video games. And I'll be the first to admit that this is old school, but we have one of those CD changers. Not too relevant to me, but, relevant to some people. The heart of the system is this Pioneer VSX-830. It supports 5.2 channel audio, and it connects to most of the devices through HDMI. And through its 5 speakers placed around the room and its 1 subwoofer, it delivers amazing audio quality from all media formats. Now, this AV receiver, it's great. 10 out of 10 would buy again. However, initially, I didn't really like the whole AV receiver idea because just frankly seemed too complicated for what you got. Now, taking a look at it though, it's actually a pretty ingenious bit of kit. On a very basic level, an AV receiver is 3 main things. First of all, it's a digital to analog converter, which takes the digital signals from the HDMI connector and converts them into analog audio signals. Second of all, it's an amplifier, which takes those audio signals and boosts their output to feed them to speakers. And third, it's an HDMI switch, which takes the HDMI signals from all of your devices and selects which one will be fed to the TV and which input it will take audio from. However, a few key bad decisions have led to this AV receiver not quite working as seamlessly as it should. So in this video, the plan is as follows. Reconfiguration of the wiring, cable management of said wiring, and moving these devices to more optimal locations. And with that, we should be good. So without waiting around anymore, let's get right into it. Alright, not sure how well this is going to work here. I'm just going to yank this out. Well, not yank, but, just kind of pull it out from the rack here, shelf. Oh, there we go. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Perfect. I'm going to take this out too, as well, and instead I'm going to plug it into HDMI 2. And I don't know if you can see there, but you see how it says ARC underneath HDMI 2? I'll get into it a little bit more later, but basically what this is it allows audio generated in the TV to be sent over the HDMI cable back to the receiver. As for the wiring in the back of the receiver, things are staying pretty much the same. However, since I am moving the Blu-ray player off of the shelf and replacing it with the Xbox, I have repurposed its HDMI cable and plugged it into the 3rd input on the receiver. The Blu-ray player will still be plugged in though, and will use the white HDMI cable that I have plugged into the Blu-ray input on the receiver.
So I'm at a point now where cable length is starting to become a problem. So as you can see here, I have two of these that are tight. They do not have any more slack in them. They are tight. I have two here that have some slack in them, and I have one that has a lot of slack in it. So being that I don't have any more slack in these, I'm going to call these two my shortest runs, and then I'm going to pull all the other cables back through there, and then that way they'll be all to the same length as these, and we'll be able to manage the cables a bit easier. So that's what I'm going to do. Alrighty, got her all cable managed, got the audio wires all dressed in, left the two antenna wires out there, just because I don't want to have to deal with any interference that I might get. Left the power cable out because it was going to be kind of weird, and it's one of these flat sort of type cables. And got stuff all cleaned up, looking pretty good. So let's stick this back into there, and then we'll go around the back and cable manage back there. Alrighty, so next of all is to move this. So check this out, got a bit of the media center's history here. I was looking around back there, and I found this. I was like, well, what is this thing? And I was looking here, and this was the power supply for our old cable box. So that actually gives a really nice segue into what we've done. So you can see here, there's no cable input, so you'd be wondering how this works. So this is amazing, actually. This is what you would call an IPTV. Basically what this does is, since it's connecting to the router, and the router is connected to a coaxial cable, it just sends that TV data over Wi-Fi to this box. Pretty ingenious. Alright, that should be about good for cable management. Not the best ever, but you know, it works good enough. So, let's move this sucker back into place and see if everything's still working. Alrighty, so here is testing everything out after cable management. So, first of all, the TV. There we go. To be expected. Works flawlessly. And if I just say home, you can see that you got all your smart TV stuff. Next, going straight for gold here. If I press all power, the TV, the cable box, and the AV receiver should all turn on at the same time. So, let's try this out.
Beijing's most dramatic step yet.
And, right, so we have to actually...
Her husband have agreed to plead guilty in the U.S. college admissions scandal.
Aha! So, testing the Xbox. This one went through the most major change, going from plugged into there to plugged into here. So, if we turn it on. So with the Xbox on, and if I say HDMI, and I go HDMI 3, aha! There we go! It's working. So with everything else working, the last thing to figure out is ARC, Audio Return Channel. I mentioned that before, and let's just quickly explain this now. What ARC is since smart TVs have apps like Netflix and YouTube on them, they generate their own audio. But recall, smart TVs do not have the best internal speakers. So TV manufacturers thought about this, and most smart TVs in this day and age support a function called ARC, Audio Return Channel. And what that basically means is that the TV will send the audio data from those apps to the AV receiver over the connected HDMI cable. Now, there's a bit of a problem though with this particular setup. The TV, this is a Panasonic TV, and as you also remember, we have the IPTV, and something strange happens with the way I had it set up. Initially when I set this up, what would happen is, when we pressed all power, this box would turn on, it would turn on the AV receiver, and it would turn on the TV. But what the TV would do is, with the mode enabled called VRA Link, the TV, when it turned on, it would turn off the AV receiver, which wasn't exactly what we wanted to happen. So, here's the problem with that though. So, I'm in the TV's settings menu, and if I look around here in setup and in sound, you can see in sound there's nothing that says ARC. In setup, there's nothing that says ARC either. And looking around online, I've found that ARC is a part of VRA Link, which, as I previously stated, is what is screwing this system over altogether. However, a little bit of diving through the AV receiver's settings menu, I found a solution. So, if we go into system setup here, and we go to HDMI setup, so this is where you would enable ARC for the AV receiver. But there's also an option called control mode. And with control mode set to off, that fixed the issue of the TV turning the AV receiver off. And after testing it out with VRA Link turned on, the whole system was working exactly as I had wanted it to. Anyways guys, I think I'm going to leave the video at that. The whole system is working. Things are cable managed. We can now officially retire this remote. And things are all fixed. This is awesome. I'll see you guys in the next video.